It's been a very cold start to the month of December so far if you live east of the Rockies, as we've seen rounds of Arctic air dropping in from Canada with that cross-polar flow, and many brought very chilly conditions across the north central U.S., up across a good part of the upper Midwest and much of the mid-Atlantic, and all the way down into the Carolinas, even getting as far south as the Southeast. Even into Florida has felt the freezing temperatures. And yes, even today, we woke up this morning with wind chills in the 20 below zero range. And even at the noon hour this afternoon, it's still in the single digits, and some of these are still below zero. So it continues to have some of that Arctic air just dropping further south, and it actually dips all the way into the Tennessee Valley, and it's just going to be another chillier night tonight. And we have yet another reinforcing shot that will follow behind that one as well. And it's all compliments of this buckle in the Jetstream. I mean, you can definitely see this massive dip that's essentially elongated across the central and eastern 2/3 of the U.S., while we're trying to get the more southern branch of the jet stream starting to get active. We do have a little system that's just been kind of hanging out here towards the southwest regions. That's finally going to pick up steam and going to pick up some moisture along with it and put back more precipitation back over to Texas. So eventually we're trying to get some warmer anomalies coming back into the picture. But right now, the northern branch of the jet stream is sort of winning out and keeping that colder air alive. And this storm has been overperforming. I mean, in fact, even a couple of days ago, I know even North Carolina, in fact, actually picked up their first snowfall in about 3 years. It's been a long time, even though they did officially record a trace of snow up there in the Charlotte area. Nonetheless, they did in fact see some snow, but further into the Great Lakes, I don't need to tell you, with the lake effect snow that they've had over the last 7 days has just been crazy. I mean, some amounts as high, I've seen some 70-inch totals, no question, 70-inch totals. And even inland, some of these areas have overperformed. We're talking a good 2 to 8 inches swath up here into Pennsylvania, portions of New York, even into Connecticut, portions of Massachusetts. Rhode Island saw some snow. So this storm has definitely overperformed, and it's been a pretty intense clipper system, and we've had some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I know Chicago reported a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust, and that's part of the reason why we've had some of the, kind of a more of a brutal, for December standards, wind chill factors in place. And that cold air just continues to funnel further south with that northwest flow. You can definitely see the Arctic air coming in on the backside. So we're trying to wring out the last precipitation that's highlighted across a good part of New England and much of the mid-Atlantic. And I think by tonight, those winds are going to finally start to die down. So as they die down and that high pressure just kind of hangs underneath, a good part, in fact, 80% of the lower 48 is actually expecting a freeze tonight. Some areas continue to see a freeze, not just even a hard freeze down there into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. You've seen this time and time again. It's definitely been a very cold start, especially for the Southeast, and those colder anomalies, single digits, and that's why we're still getting the below zero wind chill factors. Now in the middle of the country, you've been kind of a glancing blow. You can definitely see, say, Dallas, Fort Worth right at 33. They have not actually recorded an official freeze yet, so it's definitely going to be close this evening. But out west, across the Intermountain West, they've been predominantly under more ridging out there and been missing out on some of the colder Arctic intrusion. But here's the southern branch of the jet stream of that little disturbance that's been kind of hanging out over the Four Corners regions. That's going to be swinging across, and we're talking a chilly rain on tap for a good part of Texas coming in on Saturday with cloud cover all day and rain around. It's going to be widespread in the 40s. So that's definitely going to be your chilliest afternoon so far this season. that you've experienced for the deep south. And much of Texas is actually going to be getting some beneficial rains with this. We're not talking like very heavy amounts, but nonetheless could be a look having a ½ inch, possibly, you know, a little bit more than an inch across East Texas. There is going to be a little bit higher water content available once you swing into East Texas and into Louisiana, because those dew points are going to be elevated. So I think by the time we head into Sunday night, most of the precipitation will be swinging into East Texas by then, as well as into Louisiana, portions of Arkansas, and eventually heading over into Mississippi. And this also has definitely some higher water content values with it. You know, it's not summertime, but whenever you see almost 2 inches per hour in the month of December, that's fairly heavy, folks. So we could be laying down some multi-inch rains up here across southeastern portions of Texas. A good part, almost maybe even the entire state of Louisiana, gets soaked with this system going into your heading into Sunday night into Monday. In fact, the Weather Prediction Center has already highlighted this for your Sunday night, mainly into southeast of the Houston area, down here in the Beaumont, Port Arthur, and much of Louisiana, talking Beaumont, you know, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, those areas in Alexandria, up here to Monroe, up here towards the El Dorado area to Greenville, all the way to Vicksburg. Definitely some heavier rains, a good easily 2 to 4 inches, even up some isolated, some higher totals for that region. And that same system is just going to continue to move a little bit further off to the east. Some of these actually could turn strong to severe as well. So that's not you can't roll that out as well. But definitely some heavier rains associated with it. So by the time we head into Monday, we're talking areas into the Pensacola region, Mobile, back into the Gulfport area, further north into the Birmingham region, Tuscaloosa. Those areas are going to be under the gun. A little bit lighter amounts as you swing further north into Atlanta, back into Chattanooga, up here into areas of Tennessee, down towards the Huntsville area. But by the time we head into Monday, we are going to be rebounding a little bit. Some of that south wind is going to be full effect for about a couple of days. And so as we clear out with the sun, with drier conditions, we're going to be able to heat up in a big way. But it should be kind of a quick hit, because there's definitely some more colder air building. But it's by the time we head into Monday, you know, Sunday afternoon into Monday, a lot of these temperature anomalies are going to be 10 to 15 degrees above average. But that's not going to last long, because we've got another little colder intrusion building, and that's going to be swinging further south and dropping the freeze line further south again. So the heavier amounts start to subside. You just kind of get more of a scattered dusting into the southeast heading into your Tuesday afternoon. The polar jet tries to retreat, but we have one last piece of energy coming back on the backside with some more colder air that's going to be coming in. Could ring out some snow showers towards the Rockies, into portions of New Mexico, maybe even the Texas Panhandle. Might get a dusting of snow. Western Oklahoma could be getting some dusting of snow, but definitely you get that colder air coming in by your Tuesday and especially by Wednesday morning across the middle part of the country. Notice a good part of the east starts to warm up, but again, this colder air will come through, and this should be a kind of a quick hit cold shot heading towards that December the 11th time frame. Because if we look at some of the longer term view, remember, we've been cold since the last couple of days of November and to start December. So it'll be 7 to 10 days of good colder waves, and then we start to warm up. Because as we do and look at some of the, you know, the overall jet stream on the North Pacific view, you kind of see more of a zonal flow starting to take shape. That's definitely a warmer flow off the Pacific, and this jet stream kind of elongates from west to east. It doesn't have any sort of buckle in it anymore, and that's going to allow the temperatures to rise on a more widespread basis. So this would be your middle of the month. You're talking like that December the 15th time frame. Much of the lower 48, and in fact, even some of the areas that's been warm for a good part of the first half of of December is starting to change and start to move on the cooler side across the Pacific Northwest and much of the West Coast, while much of the central and eastern 2/3, where you started on the much colder side, is going to start to warm up in a big way by the time we hit into that middle of the month time frame. And I don't think that stops even going into your second and even into your third week of December. So much of the lower 48, we are looking for a pretty big warm up on the way after we get this cold blast out of the way for about another 5 to 7 days. And that's exactly what the Climate Prediction Center has as well, with that zonal flow coming in. Most of the ensembles on the European and the GFS is implying that big warm up, it will be on the way, sort of locking in towards the middle of the month of December. And the Climate Prediction Center is also on board as well, bringing those much warmer anomalies back into play across the Great Lakes, where they've seen some of the coldest temperatures so far, much of New England as well. And then further south, it kind of moderate. But overall, much of the lower 48, even Alaska, even Hawaii, is going to be above average heading towards your middle of the month time frame. So if we break down the precipitation, kind of looks like this, right? With the ridge in place, much of the dry air is more or less elongated across the west, much of the desert southwest, much of the Rockies, and even much of the central and northern U.S. is going to remain on the drier side over the next 7 days. You got the subtropical jet coming, starting to wake up a little bit. We're going to have these systems traversing across the southern zone. It's going to be picking up some much needed precipitation. Much of Oklahoma actually misses out, but portions of Texas won't. Much of North Texas, Central Texas, and South and East Texas will get in the action. The higher, heavier amounts and more concern for flash flooding and some severe will be highlighted over Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, back into Georgia, likely on Sunday night, Monday, and during the day on Tuesday with that heavier rain, some strong to severe, especially further down to the coast you live. Lighter amounts as you swing further north through the Tennessee Valley, and then as we get into the Northeast, going into over the next 7 days. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me next update. Wire protect you before and after the storm.